Hello, beautiful. Welcome to the Sacral podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Christian. Let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. Hello, sacral beauties. Welcome to the Sacral podcast, a space for helping women recover from burnout through the power of sacred pleasure. So welcome. We've been diving into this series and talking all about the Sacral Codes. And in today's episode, we're going to be decoding the code of desire, the kind that rises up quietly, fiercely, sometimes irrationally, but oftentimes it gets buried under the emotion of guilt. And so this is a reminder for you that you're never meant to silence your desires, but you're meant to listen to them. And this episode is going to be that permission slip to help you really understand exactly why you should trust what you want. Let's dive in and talk about the energetics of desire. What is really desire? A lot of times we think of desires and it's like, oh, the forbidden energy. You shouldn't desire things. You shouldn't want things. You shouldn't attach yourself to things. You shouldn't, you don't want to come across as being ungrateful for the things that you have. Why do you want more than what you have, right? We think about all of these things when it comes to desire. But desire is an emotional impulse that's rooted in your sacral energy. And it arises, it comes up for you before even having a logical explanation as to why you have this desire. It's not coming from a logical space, right? And we know that the sacral energy is tied to emotion, it's tied to connection, it's tied to pleasure, it's tied to your sense of sacredness. And so when we think of desire, sometimes we make the assumption that it's always tied to something sexual, right? And it's not. It's not always sexual. Desire could be for beauty, could be for freedom, could be for slowness, could be for connection, could be for expression. It could be for so many different things. And what it does is that it's a signal to you to get you into alignment. It pulls you towards what is important to you and helps you evolve in that journey. So if you have the desire for it, that's an energy that's pulling you towards getting you back into alignment within yourself, even if you have been used to being a certain way or, having the things that you have. But as you grow, as you progress, as you evolve, as you learn, as your mind expands, you naturally seek to attain and have the things that are a match for where you're either going or where you now are. So the things that used to resonate with you may not resonate with you anymore, and desire is the way that you will know that. So energetically, desire is how the soul speaks through the body. Desire is not indulgence. Desire is the original language of your emotional guidance system. But I want to talk about what blocks desire because this gets shut down so quickly and so easily. One of the biggest blocks to desire is emotional guilt. As I said earlier, when you feel like you want more, then you may have been taught that you are being ungrateful. Why do you want more? You already have everything that you need. If that's some type of information or what was said to you or how you've been conditioned to feel, then guilt can be very common for you because you may say, well, I know that I'm okay. I know that I'm healthy. I know that I have, all the things that I need, but I still have this desire for something more or something different. And so if you feel ungrateful in that, you will shut down pursuing that desire. And cultural shame can also be a way that desire is blocked. Even just the thought that if women want something, that they are being too much, or they're too needy, or they're too emotional, they're too much of something. And so that also will block you from seeking or wanting more because it's like, oh my goodness, You just constantly want too much, or you're too needy. But in actuality, as a woman, I don't think that majority of people really realize just how much a woman really needs. As women, we are very complex creatures. Our bodies require so much nourishment and so many nutrients just for us to really be free in our bodies, because we carry the responsibility of having the power to create life. And so with that, we require more. We have ebbs and flows. We are cyclical in nature, right? We shift, we adjust, we are flexible. We are not just a constant same energy all of the time. And so that requires not too much, but it requires different needs at different times, just within our own biological makeup. And sometimes we're kind of already at this disadvantage of the way that the masculine energy has kind of been in the forefront for both men and women. And so it's just a matter of just recognizing and acknowledging that you're not too much, but you may feel like you're too much just because you're more than the average, if that makes sense. Another way that desire gets blocked can be through the fear of disappointment or rejection or responsibility, right? Have you ever been in a space where you desired more and you asked for more and you were told no? And sometimes it can feel scarier to have to accept the no. When you don't receive the no, you can always hold on to the wonder, the what if, or the thought that maybe that this could happen, or I could have this thing someday. But to be told no, then it's so final. It feels like, well, that's not going to be it. Even though rejection really is protection and it's really a guidance for getting you into the space of where you need to be. But that fear of it and the fear of the disappointment can really block the desire. If you feel like you're not going to get the thing that you want, it's kind of like, why even try, Chronic productivity is also a way that desire gets blocked. You don't have the time to want, but you only have time to do. You don't even have time to think about, what do I want? It's only time to get things done. Some emotional signs that you may have blocked desire is if you say, I don't know what I want. And that becomes the default. I don't know what I want. You almost can't even see what you could want for yourself. Like, it's not even in your vision. You can't even see it. You have no desire. You feel numbness or apathy. Or maybe you start settling for what's offered instead of asking for more. You just take what is given to you, even if it's something you don't want. You could also be judging yourself for dreaming. Ugh, why would I even think I could even do something like that? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't believe in yourself and you judge yourself before you can even give yourself the opportunity to do something, that's another way that desire gets blocked. And sometimes the origin of that comes from our childhood, or how someone has said something to us, and the words that people can say sometimes that can really shut you down. And that's the power of creation, which we talked about a couple of the codes back. If you haven't tuned into the creative code, we talked about how important it is that when you have these emotions and these feelings of things, to give them form, to release them, to get them out of your system. Because when you harbor them, let's say you carry so much insecurity inside, you have another person that doesn't have that insecurity, and they feel really excited. They feel good about the thing that they want, but you feel so insecure about it. Not you, of course. I'm just speaking in general. But a person can feel so insecure about it that they then project that out onto the other person. And they can say some of the meanest things and say, I think you'll never be able to do that, or you're not better than me. I don't know, you're not that great. People can say these things because they're in this space of deep insecurity, but you may receive those words and believe them. You get what I mean? So if we could all just go back to the code of creativity and express those things and get them out instead of keeping them in and harboring them and letting them guide our choices and our actions, we would feel a whole lot better. And so when your sacral energy stops desiring, you notice that your life starts shrinking. Everything starts to get a lot smaller. And sometimes just even in our own environment, we're so used to seeing what we're seeing that we don't even have the awareness that we could have more or more is out there. And so sometimes I'll even just take a drive and maybe I'll go to some different neighborhoods and just see all these beautiful homes on the lake. And I'm like, oh my goodness, these homes are beautiful. These homes are gorgeous. And it just kind of shifts my mind a little bit to say like, wow, there's just so much possibility to have such a different environment or different home, a different space for yourself. So I think about things like that. I try to do that sometimes to just open my mind, or traveling, just getting out and seeing what the world has to offer. 'Cause there's so much. Let's dive in and talk a little bit more about how desire can be used as your emotional compass. So true desire, right? I'm talking about like your heart's desire, something that truly is something you really want for yourself, does not come from a space of comparison, but comes from a space of resonance. Something that feels really right to you, something that's in alignment with you. And it's felt in the body. You feel it. You feel the warmth when you think of it or when you're close to it. You feel the pull. You feel the ache of not having it. You feel the flutters when it's close to you. So it's felt in the body. Desire is not just something that's in the mind, but throughout the entire body. And all you have to do is tune into it to see what it's pointing towards. Desire will guide you towards experiences that can awaken your inner core. And the more that you trust it, the more aligned your life becomes. So notice where in your body you feel a yes. Whenever you get excited about something or the thought of just this new desire is coming in, whether it's in dating or relationships or a new job or a new project or whatever it is, whatever you want to focus your energy towards, where do you feel this yes? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your womb? Do you feel it in your fingers? Do you feel it in your belly? That is your compass being activated through the power of desire. And so if you're struggling to really connect to desire, I totally get that. And when you're burned out, you don't even want a desire because it's like, if I have a desire, that means I have to do more work for the desire, right? I got to go work for it. I got to put in effort. I have to put in energy to be able to align myself with this desire. So if you're in that space, trust me, I totally understand. But even in that, we can have the desire to rest. We can have the desire to be free. We can have the desire to just say, accept what I have already done thus far. So one thing you can try is desire journaling. So if nothing was off limits, what would you want today? If nothing was off limits, there's no budget, there's no rules, there's no nothing, what would you want today? Connecting with your womb, asking, what do you long for? That womb space energy is your sacral energy. It's your deep sacred self, deep inside. And you're asking the sacred portion of yourself, of your body, what do you long for? Practicing some sensory reawakening, tuning into what feels good, not just what makes sense. And we talked about awakening the senses and the sensual code. So if you haven't tuned into that episode, you can absolutely listen to that after this. And doing a little guilt detox. Name the thing that you want and then follow it up with saying, I am safe to want this. It's okay to want this. It feels good to want this. It feels right to want this. As long as it's not harming another person or creating harmful or dangerous situations, if it's truly a true heart's desire of something you really want for yourself, know and say that I am safe to want this. Your desire is sacred and it leads you back towards yourself. Just the energy of wanting, having a want for something. And for the longest time, when it came to how I was working, I would have the desire, but I was tying the desire to monetary things. But truly, I had to go to my true heart's desire and say, well, what do you really want truly deep underneath everything? And what I really wanted was community. What I really wanted was stability. What I really wanted was security. What I really wanted was being able to lead. So there was a lot more there that I wasn't allowing myself to really see. But once I owned up to that and I said, okay, I'm going to pursue these desires, I came back to myself and it felt really good. I felt so much more at ease in my body. So as we're coming to a close in this episode, know that desire is not dangerous. It's truly divine. When you follow it, you return to your emotional truth without apology. So we've covered a lot in this episode. I hope that you're enjoying this series, by the way. In our next episode, we're going to dive in and talk more about the expression code, and we're going to explore a little bit more how emotion needs movement and sound and voice, not just understanding. So it's very close to the creativity code, but this is a little bit different. Just this really about expressing the emotions that you have deep within you, regardless of its form, just being able to get it all out. Of course, we do a dive in after the show for each episode in our private sacred space. And so if you want access to that, plus access to community and rituals and resets and being able to have a safe space to vent and feel supported by like-minded women that are recovering from burnout and moving into this journey of sacred pleasure, definitely click the link down below. All right. Well, thank yourself so much for showing up today. And thank you for tuning in to the She Sacral podcast.